have we here the new Dodge Charger with a straight six. I always thought muscle cars should have a V8, unless they're from Germany. This is from Germany, and it also has a straight six. It is the BMW M2 CS, and these two are going to drag race. Drag race anything, you should have something electric. So we also brought the Dodge Charger Daytona, which is electric. Shut up, you. So what we actually have here is a Dodge Sandwich, and also one hell of a drag race. If you have a special car, you should consider having Haggerty protected. It is insurance for enthusiasts by enthusiasts. Get a free quote at jasonsentme.com. I apologize in advance for the 23 times I'm going to mess up this car's name and for the Detroit accent that I feel compelled to perform for you. Anyway, this is a two-door, and judging by Dodge's naming strategy from the last 30 years, this is a Challenger. Except it's not. It's now a Charger two-door. And it's a six-pack, and I know this because it says it right on the hood where no one can read it, which means it has the Hurricane straight six in it. And since it has a little B logo on the side, it's a Scat Pack, which is Detroitois for fast, having nothing to do with people who like to play with poop. The blue one is a four-door, so once again, it's a Charger, and now it's actually just a Charger four-door, which is still pissing people off because the first 5 generations of Chargers were all coupes. That's not important right now. This one also has a Scat Pack logo on the side and big wide tires, so it's a track pack. But I can put my entire hand through the front end, which surely means this is a Daytona, which means it's electric. So, to recount, that is a Dodge Charger two-door six-pack Scat Pack, and this one is a Dodge Charger four-door Scat Pack Track Pack Daytona, because it's electric. Capiche? Me neither. Okay, start her up. Ooh, the new straight six sounds good. That's deep, throaty, it's meaty, and it's really quite loud too. Holy shit, that's coming from an EV. Oh, that's insane. That's 1.5 times louder than that car out of an EV that's idiotic. I'm sorry, but having an EV that makes noises is as dumb as having an AI girlfriend. Until your real girlfriend gets outlawed. Don't forget, Dodge engineered this car at a time where it really looked like internal combustion engines were being outlawed. And so you can't blame Dodge for making an EV. You also can't blame Dodge for making an EV that makes all sorts of V8 vroom vroom noises when V8 vroom vroom noises are an integral part of the brand identity. So maybe we should be celebrating that Dodge is having a little bit of fun with the scat sandwich they were handed. At least they made this EV powerful. It makes 670 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque from its 2 electric motors, one front, one rear. And those horses have a lot to move. It weighs as much as a Gothic cathedral or a Rolls-Royce Cullinan SUV. It's about the same size as both of them, too. This gas-powered Charger is exactly the same size, but weighs some 1,100 pounds less. In other words, it's still a porker. It's rated at 550 horsepower and 531 pound-feet of torque, which gives it a power-to-weight ratio exactly the same as the electric Charger. Making all of that power under the hood is a girly man little straight six that has absolutely no business ever being in a muscle car, is what you thought I'd say. And you're partially right. But it's not Dodge's fault entirely. Stellantis is a worldwide company, and they installed a European CEO who is not American and doesn't understand our love for throbbing blah 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 V8s. With limited resources, he was tasked with making an engine that could be sold around the world that would comply with all forthcoming fuel economy and emissions regs, and he chose a straight six. The Hemi would have never worked. And so now we're stuck with a straight six, even though those fuel economy regs are on hold in the US. So We want the goddamn V8 back, and 50 bucks says we're gonna get it. In the meantime though, this is one hell of an engine. It makes more power and more torque out of the same displacement than the world's benchmark straight six, the BMW S58. Don't look. Installed in the brand new BMW M2 CS, the S58 is exactly the same size as the Dodge Straight Six. And when I say exactly the same size, I mean these two engines have the identical displacement down to the cubic centimeter. They also have similar compression ratios and similar peak boost. If you don't think Stellantis has been benchmarking BMW, know this. That engine uses exactly the same bore and stroke that BMW has been using for its high-performance 3-liter straight sixes for 25 years. Which, having absolutely nothing to do with anything, is exactly as long as I've owned my Valentine 1 radar locator. Thank you. He's owned his for 9 years longer than that, which is why we both still have our licenses, because we've been finding the radar before it finds us. While we do absolutely nothing wrong, I don't break the law. I resent your accusation. CS is gonna take it by just a half a car length. A surprising last-minute win for the car that was in third at the beginning and then spent more than 1,100 of the 1,320 feet behind that Daytona. The BMW is at a major disadvantage because it's trying to put its biblical 523 horsepower to just its rear wheels when the Dodges are both four-wheel drive. Short gear ratios mean the transmission is shifting constantly, sometimes well short of redline, but the S58's power band is so huge that it just doesn't matter. Once it hooks up, the CS is a rocket, and when it finally beats the Daytona to the line, it's going 7 miles an hour quicker. This is power to weight having the final say. Traction disadvantage? Be damned. The Daytona might be barely in second place behind the M2, but don't forget, that's not a regular M2, it's the CS, the quickest M2 you can buy. And far more importantly, it's 11.6, means it's just 0.4 of a second behind the 1,025 horsepower Dodge SRT Challenger Demon 170, the fastest and most powerful Dodge ever made. 0.4. Boop, boop. It's like nothing. Off the line, there would be no contest. The Daytona ripped off a 3.2 second 0 to 60, a full half-second quicker than the Demon 170 could manage on a non-prep surface. And while the Demon was a demon to launch, the Daytona is easy as pie. But this is a Dodge after all, and so there's no lack of drama. It does a 200-foot-long front-wheel burnout that doesn't seem to slow it down one bit. Nor do all the electrons being sent to the Fratsonic exhaust, sending hellish noises out the back loud enough to set off car alarms in the church parking lot. That, well, that's a real Dodge. Bravo. At the end of the day, the SixPack's power and four-wheel drive launch advantage relative to the M2 just weren't enough to overcome its weight. This is a big coupe, and it weighs 1,140 pounds more than the BMW. However, its 12.1 second run right there, means that it ties the Ford Mustang Mach-1 with its screaming V8 and beats the old Chevy Camaro SS with its screaming V8. So, if the whole point of a muscle car is to outmuscle other muscle cars, well then, muscle mission accomplished. Six-pack or not. By the way, I can finally see that SixPack logo from up here. I think that's where they were when they designed it, on the roof. It has just 3 liters of displacement and only 6 cylinders, but this is no slow Charger. In fact, the SixPack Dodge outmuscles the 6-cylinder M2 off the line. It may not sound like a V8, but Dodge's 6 sounds great. Inside the car, it's as if Dodge hacked into BMW's computers and stole their WAV file. On the outside, they sound even more similar. Close your eyes and you'd swear you're hearing 2 BMWs racing. The SixPack might have beaten the M2 off the line, but at the end of the day, its weight caught up with it, and this new Dodge Charger SixPack wound up 5 car lengths behind the other 2 cars. Yes, it's uncomfortable that a muscle car doesn't have a V8 or even an engine at all. These are strange times we're living in, and it's easier than ever to be an internet troll, but we should endeavor to be nicer to one another, to give each other some grace and understand the battles we've fought just to make it here. Shut up, you freak! But remember also that the promise of a muscle car includes speed, and whether gas or electric, the new Charger does deliver on that promise, just maybe not as well as the BMW M2 CS.